Hi guys, my name's Bill, and in this video we're going to take a little trip down to my brother's house. I just got a phone call and he said his refrigerator wasn't cooling, so we're going to go look at it. Alright, so we're down here at my brother's house, and this is the one that called me and said his refrigerator wasn't working. And as we can see on the little sticker here, it's above the too warm. I can hear the fan running in the freezer if we listen. Oh, there's his alcohol. Let me pull this out. Everything's melted, everything's warm. And I can hear some clicking sounds coming from the back, so let's go back there. Alright, so I got the back off, and if we look down here, it's pretty dusty. The compressor fan is running, along with the freezer fan inside the freezer compartment. But if we come over here, stick our hand on the compressor, it's hot, but it's not running. I can't feel it vibrating or anything like that. Now the clicking sound is coming from the relays on the side of the compressor. So first thing I'm going to do is hook my clamp meter up to it and see what's going on. Now right now I have my clamp meter attached to the black wire that goes to the start relay. And what I'm waiting for right now is the compressor to try to start so we can get an amp reading. And it's probably going to be around 9 or 10. Usually when the compressor doesn't fire up and it tries to start, it'll draw about 10 amps. Usually for a split second, then the compressor will fire up and then it'll run at 1 amp. So there's the click, and we're at 9.6 amps. So it's going to draw that for a couple seconds, and then we heard that other click. Now the compressor's off again. So now that I'm sure that the compressor's getting power, it just can't start, I'm going to go ahead and unplug the refrigerator from the wall at this point, and I'm going to put a set of known good relays on with a cord that I showed you earlier in the video and see if that fires up the compressor. And I'm still going to put my clamp meter on one of the wires. That way I can see if the compressor is running where it should, or if it's drawing too much current when it does fire up, and that's what caused the relays to go bad in the first place. Here's a look at my test relay. Basically it's a little all-in-one starter with a capacitor that plugs right into the starter. So it just has a connection for 2 wires. And I wired that up to a cord so I can plug it into the wall and start the compressor up. Normally what I would do is put a 3-in-1 start capacitor, a little all-in-one, and I'll link a video in the description on how those work. But I didn't have one because I used it like the day before my brother called me. So the start relay and capacitor and stuff that I'm using that I put on a cord is from like a Frigidaire refrigerator. But they all basically work the same. So I just put a cord on it, and I'm going to use that to try to fire up the compressor. Later on in the video I'm going to show you the wiring on the bottom of that refrigerator, because it has 3 wires going to the compressor now, but if you were to convert it over to a 3-in-1, you only need 2 wires. So I'll show you the wiring and which 2 wires that you would use if you were going to wire in a 3-in-1 or something like this straight to the refrigerator. What we're looking at right now is just a compressor that I have in my garage. Now I've cut the top off of it in case anybody wanted to see what one of these looks like inside. And here's the piston. And it kind of works like this thing here works like a crankshaft on a motor, and then you have the piston that would spin around here. So I'm going to plug this in so you guys can see that kind of spin around for a second. And what it sounds like on Danny's is if we stick that in here, and you see how it's, now right now when I plug this in, that's going to draw 10 amps of power. Now I'm not leaving it hooked up, but that's, with this not spinning and power being applied to the relays, that's how you get a 10 amp draw, because the rotor's locked up. Now if I take this back out, it'll run just fine when I plug it in. And usually when it has the correct amount of freon in the system, it should run about 1 amp, not 9. Alright, so over here on the side of the compressor we have the capacitor right here, and on the side of the compressor is the relay and the overload. That's over there. So I'm going to try to explain this wiring quick. Now if we go up here to the plug that comes down to the compressor area, we have 2 blues and a black. The one blue wire goes in and out of the capacitor, goes in on blue, comes out on pink, and goes down to the compressor relay here. The other blue goes straight down to the compressor relay, and the black goes straight down. So that's why there's 3 wires on the compressor relay. So what I'm going to do is replace it with a start relay and overload and capacitor all in one, so it's only going to have 2 wires. So the 2 wires we're going to use are going to be the blue that goes straight down and the black that goes straight down to the relay. We're just going to eliminate the pink wire that goes to the capacitor. Alright, so to test the compressor with my relay and starter and everything that I have wired up to my cord, I'm going to remove the relays that are on here now. Now this capacitor was screwed up here, but I moved it out of the way so we could get a better look at the wiring. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut some of these zip ties out of the way. Now the refrigerator is unplugged from the wall at this point. So now that I got the wiring free, I'm going to take this screw out right here so I can remove the cover off the relays. So we got the cover off. Now I'm just going to use a flathead screwdriver and pop off the starter and the overload here. And these are the components: the starter, overload, and the capacitor that are on the machine from the factory. Now that this is removed, I'm going to put my test cord on and see if the compressor fires up. Okay, so I've gone ahead and placed the test relay and capacitor on the side of the compressor. My meter's set on amps. I got the plug right here. We're going to plug it into the wall and see if this compressor fires up with a good set of relays. So it's plugged in. We're drawing 12 amps. Horrible buzz. Making a terrible sound. And it clicks off. So this compressor is definitely shot. Alright, so you just saw that the compressor on my brother's refrigerator is shot. Unfortunately, that's probably a worst case scenario for most of you guys that are troubleshooting your refrigerator. I was really hoping he only had a bad set of relays and not a bad compressor. I hate to break the bad news to him like that. Now, in your case, you'd have to make a decision with a bad compressor to pay somebody to replace it or buy a whole new fridge. In his case, luckily, he knows somebody that can do that. I think he's going to end up buying a new compressor, and I'm just going to go ahead and install it on there. Now, if he would have just had a bad set of relays, I would have used that black and blue wire, wired it up to my test relays that I had, put that on his refrigerator, and he would have been just fine. I just would have left it like that, and he would have been good to go from then on out. So, if you guys liked the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, go ahead and do that now. And thanks for watching.